Hello. Hi guys. I've got my strawberries. I've got my goggles. I have all the questions that you asked me via Instagram. I got a lot of questions and they're really good, they're really juicy. So I want to do a little painting and answer them, kind of like a chill and chat kind of a sesh. So I'm gonna do a painting in real time with a little bit of editing just to sort of smooth it out, because you got to have toilet breaks, you got to have dog kissing breaks. So I'll cut all those out. Maybe I'll leave in a dog kissing break for you. I'm looking forward to answering your questions. I'm going to do the best I can, and I will see you on the paint table. See you while I'm painting at my table. See you at my desk table and painting. Yeah, okay. So let's begin from the top. I got a lot of questions like this. How did you get started? Where are you from? Who are you? That sort of thing. Well, my name is Sophie. As you know, I'm from Melbourne in Australia, and I've always lived here. I've always lived in Australia. How did I get started? I've always painted, I've always drawn, I've always been creative, I've always had a pretty wild imagination. So I guess I've just always done art. Um, can you live from your art? How long did it take for it to become your main income? At the moment, yes, I am living solely from my art. And that's amazing. I'm so proud of myself. It took a long time. It took a really long time. Um, yeah, so after I finished studying 5 years ago, I got a job at at an animation studio pretty soon after I finished uni. So I feel like I was lucky in that regard. I got right into the art scene, but it took, a good 10 years. I think I decided I wanted to be an artist a few years after I finished high school. And it took a good, I don't know, 10 years, 8 to 10 years to actually get there. Yeah, it took a long time. Was it intimidating slash daunting deciding to do full-time illustration as your main income? Yeah, of course. I worked full-time at the animation studio for 3.5 years. And while I loved it and I loved the friends there, I knew that it wasn't for me, and I knew it wasn't something that I wanted to always do. Like when I got the job, I thought it was going to be my dream job, but not long after I started, I sort of realized that I would prefer not to do to make other people's designs come to life, that I wanted to work on my own designs only. Um, so deciding to leave the animation studio and dive right into working full time on my own stuff, yeah, it was really scary because it's um, feels good and safe having a proper income, and when you become a freelancer, you never know when the next paycheck's gonna come. So it's sort of hustle, hustle, and I'm not very good at that. So I was scared. I was scared. Yes. How do you balance creativity, business, social, and personal time? I'm not very good. I'm not very good at that. I probably, well, because art is like my hobby and what I like to do in my downtime, and also it's business, it's hard to separate them. I don't really have many other hobbies besides making art, so yeah, it's hard to sort of get away from the art business side of it. um as for social, I'm a huge introvert. I love being by myself. I love alone time. I love just chilling with myself or my partner or my dog or my family. I adore my friends to no end, and they're always there for me and I'm always there for them. Um, but I'm just so socially exhausted all the time. But they understand, and we're all kind of in the same boat. We all understand each other in that way. Um, how how did you learn to paint? I guess I just learnt by doing. As I said before, I've always painted, I've always made stuff, and I guess I've kind of been fearless when I learn new mediums and tools. So I just learnt by doing, and I learnt by making tons and tons of mistakes and experimenting. I was lucky because in high school, our teachers really pushed us to experiment over and over again. And when you think you've come up with all the ideas, no, just keep pushing and keep coming up with new ideas. So I guess that helped me become a little fearless when learning new materials and new mediums and stuff. What is your daily routine? Um, well, during COVID times, there hasn't been that much of a routine. I don't think I've ever really been good at routine. The only time I've had routine is when I've either, been at school, high school, or studying, or had a quote proper job at a location. That's the only time I've really had a routine. These days I kind of just, roll out of bed at somewhere between 7:30 and 9:30, hang out with my dog Baby for a little while, have my cup of tea, and I don't know, look at emails, look at Instagram for a while, and then I'll go downstairs to the studio. So my studio is underneath the house in a cute little room, and I'll work there, just plodding along, doodling along. I just sort of roll around all day. That's basically it. um, I get this question a lot. What usually inspires me? What's my biggest inspiration? Yeah, that's a hard one because everything inspires me, everything like nature, my relationships, animals, my body, people, thoughts, feelings, movies, music, the tiniest little hairs on a caterpillar, anything that I think about, everything just gets stored in there, and I like it like that. Did you study art or were you self-taught? In high school, I did every single art subject possible, which in Australia, there's a thing called an enter score, which is like a score at the end of the year. And depending on the score, means you can get certain jobs or it's easier to get certain jobs or whatever. And because I did lots of art, it got marked down. I don't understand it and can't be bothered understanding it, but I'd get marked down. So my enter score was really low, but I did really well at art. So I always did art at high school, and then straight after high school, I went and I studied it was sort of like I think it was a TAFE course. It was like a general art course where I majored in painting and sculpture, and I also did printmaking and photography as well. And I met a lot of people. That's sort of where I found my tribe, which was amazing. So I met people like Hannah Mancini at that time, who is the best human ever. Okay. What do you listen to while making art? Do you listen to any particular artists or genres to paint to? I listen to a lot of music. I'm like a massive music nerd, and it's one of my biggest passions. And my taste is very niche at times. Sometimes I like a good old, Elvis daggy gospel song and I sing my heart out to it, or Roy Orbison. But I really also like, okay, how do I explain it? Like, uh, kind of like 1930s vaudeville revival psych folk 60s music. Yeah, there you go, that's me. How did your art style develop over the years? How do I develop a style? I got that question heaps, a ton, a lot, a load. How do I develop my art style over the years? I try to be as genuinely and authentically myself as possible, and I paint what I feel like painting, and I don't I don't follow trends. I don't think I follow trends, or I don't purposefully follow trends. I just sort of paint what I want to paint and how I want to paint. And I think I just got there by doing it. I just drew a lot and I experimented a lot. If you go back way down onto my Instagram page, or I think I've deleted everything off DeviantArt now, but you would see how much I have evolved. So I'm like 30, I'm 31 years old. So I've been making art since day dot, since I was a little weein. So it has gone through many transformations, but you can still kind of see the you can still kind of see who I am and who I was and my authenticity, I hope. Yeah, I just drew what I liked and what felt right to draw. And I did it a lot. So I think the only way to sort of find your style is to just draw a lot and be authentic. Also, I've got a lot of opinions about finding a style and then sticking to the style and then never budging from it. I think that's really, well, for me, okay, for me only. I I I find it boring and like it gets stiff after a while. I always like experimenting and trying new things and trying new materials and trying new shapes and making mistakes and then going, "Oh, that mistake like worked. I'm going to use that from now on." So style is always evolving and changing, and I hope you don't get stuck in the mind frame that you have to have a style, because that's not always true. Also, if you can draw anything and everything and you want a job in like illustration or concept art or whatever, all that kind of stuff, or design, you kind of need to be able to draw everything. So it makes you far more employable if you can draw anything rather than just one specific thing. What is your painting process, brainstorming process? Do you have a plan before you paint, or do you go straight for it? That's kind of like 4 questions altogether, which I got a lot of. I have a little sketchbook which I doodle in all the time, and I love my sketchbook. It's my playtime. It's my little silly space where I can kind of experiment and come up with ideas or just do stupid stuff. So when I want to paint, I just get the feeling. It's like, I want to paint a picture. And then I might flick through my sketchbook and go, oh yeah, feeling this drawing, whatever. And I kind of have a vague, you sort of see it in this video, I have a vague idea of elements or something that I like. And then I start the painting and it just kind of like evolves naturally, I guess. Like it might start as one thing, or I might start wanting a certain thing, and it might not end being that thing, and that's fine. I'm happy. I like how things evolve. I like it when it's I like it when things are sort of organic and they take on their own thing. It's like it's kind of like a stone carver or a marble carver. Like you get your piece of marble and you kind of like think there's, what's in there, or you kind of know there's something in there, and you're just sort of chipping away at it until it turns into something. Okay, I got a lot of questions about color and what inspires my color choice, what's my approach to color, how did I learn color. I have no idea. I've always loved color, and I think it's kind of just something that I'm naturally good at, something that I understand naturally. I also look at a lot of art, and when my brain was forming, when I was in high school and just out of high school and that sort of thing, I looked at a lot of art, and I used to like playing with color palettes back then, like picking colors from my favorite artworks from all these art books that I had. So yeah, I guess I just learnt by doing, same as finding a style. I just learned by doing, by trying. What's my favorite color right now? Oh my goodness, how dare you ask me that? I have no idea. It all depends on the mood and everything. I do love a good like green, like a good kind of dusty eggshelly green, or like an emerald. I love green. Like green's my favorite, I think. Two colors that go best together? Again, I can't answer that. They all have a good little partner. I don't know. And I love putting colors that you don't expect to go together and kind of just like trying to figure out a way to make them work. It's kind of a fun challenge. What is anything you never expected to learn through your art? I guess I learnt how to meditate by doing my art. I learned how to be more introspective and more emotionally intelligent from making art, because you're sitting there with yourself for hours or days or however long it takes you to make a painting. And that's when your brain sort of goes on its own little journey of conversation having with yourself. So I don't know, I think meditation was the main thing. Like I never had a name for the meditation, but I've since sort of figured out that that's the closest thing to what I meditate, to how I meditate. Yeah, something like that. And maybe learning when to stop, learning when it's enough. That's a hard one. Do you have any goals for the future of your art, or do you prefer going with the flow? I think I'm definitely a go with the flow kind of a person. I don't really have any main goals or anything I want to achieve. I do want to have a big studio one day where there's like a huge table in the middle, and then I have like little areas all around the table set up, like a ceramics area, a painting area, like a shop and a packaging area, and that would be amazing. Oh, and it's going to have like stained glass windows and all these found windows that I get from the tip over the years. Yeah, that's my dream. How do you keep motivated? How do I keep motivated? I just think I just love art. I just love it so much. I love making it so much. And of course, I have my ups and downs, and I have my off days and my on days. I just love making art, and it's all I think about. It's all I do. It's all I look at when I go on the internet. That's it. How do I overcome art blocks? I got that question a lot. I think when I'm having an art block, I just give myself a break. I think that's my body and my mind telling me, like, Sophie, you've had enough right now. You need a break. So I'll take, maybe a half a day break, a whole day, a week off. I feel like after October this year, I need a couple of months off. I listen to my body and I give myself time off, and that's how I deal with art block. And then I feel like it's like fireworks. It sort of like rumbles and it gets ready to burst, and then eventually I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to make art again. How do you deal with imposter syndrome / how do you deal with imposter syndrome? I don't think I do, to be honest. I think that just comes from knowing who I am, or just being me authentically. I just know not to compare myself to anyone, and I never really thought about comparing myself to anyone until I learnt imposter syndrome, or until I started my study at art schools and stuff like that, where other people struggled with it, or when other people go, oh, I hate you because you can draw that. I was always like, why would you hate me? Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? But I just didn't understand what imposter syndrome was. My favorite thing to draw, I don't know. I think in my sketchbook I always go towards like super curvy, kind of abstract ladies all entwined in flowers and birds and dogs and stuff. What's your favorite thing about being an artist? I think it's just fun. It's just really fun being able to do what I want to do, and it's just good. It's just very good. Okay. Do I have a funny or frustrating freelance client story? My goodness, don't we all? One that pops out really quickly is I was maybe 18, 19 years old. I was 18 or 19 years old. And a teacher of mine put me in touch with this woman who wanted a portrait of her mother, her 80-year-old mother, for her 80th birthday. And she wanted it to be in a caricature style, but kind of a classy caricature, not like the big head, big eye, tiny body kind of stuff, but like a really classy sort of minimalist caricature. And I was like, yep, I can do that. I'm your man. And I quoted her and she was happy for it to go ahead. And then she was like, oh, by the way, I actually want it to be realistic. And I was like, what? Realistic? But you wanted a caricature. And so I was so confused. And because I was so shy, I didn't really communicate properly with her. So I turned it into a realistic portrait, but I had like some caricature elements to it. Anyway, I gave it to her. I spent way too long on it. And then she was like, I'm unhappy with this. I refuse to pay. And it was so sad. And I cried a lot about it. She ended up paying like a quarter or a half of what I originally asked. And what I asked was only like $250 for a big A3 realistic portrait, but it was just bad communication. It was just that she didn't understand art language and I was too shy and insecure to elaborate more on what she meant by realistic. By realistic, she just meant she wanted it to look like her mother. That was frustrating. How do you keep on top of taxes and stuff? I don't really. That's really hard. I really hate taxes. I really hate all that side of business. I struggle so much. But I have to do it, and I usually do it at the very last minute. When did you decide to sell prints as well as originals? I think when I first opened my Etsy store a few years ago, I thought the easiest way to start selling was by doing originals. I don't know why. I think I just was like, that's what I have. I can't afford to make prints right now, and what I can afford to do is to make originals. So here, this is what I am offering the world. And I was happy to get, one sale a month. I was so happy. And my originals were so cheap back then. I'd just do little $30 A5 sized things. And, it was mostly friends who bought them. And that was awesome. When did you start to grow your Instagram and how? I think I got on Instagram really early when it was just a baby Instagram. And I had like 60 followers for about 3 or 4 years, and they were all friends and family and stuff. And I guess it started growing when I went to study animation and I'd post some more art on there rather than, photos and family cute times. It just sort of grew very slowly, very, very slowly. And I think I was lucky enough to be shared by larger accounts. And I think it was during the overlap of Tumblr and Instagram, I got on the Tumblr radar a couple of times, which boosted my Tumblr follower. I think I had like 175,000 followers on Tumblr, which I could not fathom that number. And so a lot of them came over to Instagram when I stopped sort of posting on Tumblr. But it took a long time. Like, I've been on Instagram since, I don't know, 2010 or 11 or something. Any advice for people who want to start selling prints? I think, when I started, I just got crappy prints done at Officeworks, and I don't recommend doing that. It didn't last for very long, and people didn't buy it. There's like this weird psychology between charging too low and charging too high. You got to find the perfect medium. So I just sort of Googled the heck out of it, and I found, and asked lots of friends as well, and I found a fine art printer, and I got a small amount done at first, and they lasted like a year. It took so long to start selling my paintings regularly. Like I'd get an order a month or a few orders a month, and I would like run around the room cheering. So just start small. Don't stress yourself out by going, oh, no one's buying it. It's been, up for one day and no one's bought it. Like I have prints from when I first made prints that I still have a couple of them left. And they're selling a little bit here and there, but I don't know. It's just, just don't worry too much. Just take your time. Start small, but good quality. That's what I'd recommend. Small but good quality. Like small scale. What has been your preferred online shop platform? I've only ever used Etsy, and I know the fees kind of hurt a little bit, but it's all I know. I haven't really tried anything else. Which of your art has the best cost benefit to produce and sell, like stickers, originals, etc.? I think initially, I think now for me it's prints, but it took me a long time to get there because I have recently business leveled up and bought myself a super fancy snazzy printer, and that costs like a lot of money for me, and yeah, I think that was a really good investment for me. So it allows me to make my own prints rather than ordering like a minimum of $1,500 worth of prints from a fine art printer person, because I'd want like a certain amount of designs and you'd have to have a minimum order of a certain amount. So now with my own printer, I can just do one-offs here and there, and if I put them on Etsy and they don't do well, then I don't have to print them, and I haven't wasted, a couple $100 on one design. Any tips for someone who wants to make art for fun but is actually bad at it? Like, it's for fun, so just have fun. Just enjoy the process. You don't have to show anyone if you don't want to. You don't have to put it online. No one's forcing you to do that, I hope. Just have fun. Just experiment. Don't worry about the final result as much as I think you are. Just enjoy the process and let your hands do the talking. Just go for it. Just have fun. My favorite medium. What is your favorite medium? I do love painting with acrylic paint, and I love painting with ink. And recently, this year, I got into gouache, and I've been really loving gouache. It changes all the time. Do you paint in a natural light or with a room ceiling lamp light? I do my best to paint in natural light, because it doesn't hurt my eyes as much, and I can see the colors more true. Do you have a kiln, a ceramics kiln? No, but I want to soon, hopefully. Was there an aha moment that made you want to start as a full-time artist? I don't know. I think I've just always known that I wanted to be an artist, and that's just what I had to do, and it's just always been there. Any tips for being more loose with shapes and colors when drawing? I think letting go of worrying about what other people think. I think letting go of worrying about making a bad piece, and letting go of worrying about what you're going to think. Just do something, like do a big movement, do a crazy movement and see what happens. Do a scribble, see what happens. Do a blob of watercolor and see what it turns into. It does take a bit of practice. I did a lot of life drawing as well, and it turns out that doing 30-second life drawing poses are really good for loosening up and having a scribble. I would usually not even look at my piece of paper and just look at the model and just like scribble around with my hand in one big line, and it always turns out hilariously terrible, but it really loosens you up. So yeah, do some life drawing, just let your hand do some silly movements, just get a bit silly. How do you plan your day, week, month, year? I don't really. I don't. The only thing that sort of like keeps me locked in is when I book in markets. And I haven't really done that this year. I'll probably do a few next year, but they're the only things that I really have to plan for. Otherwise, I just, as I said before, I just roll around. Oh, what's one thing you avoid or dislike painting? Cars, machines, metal stuff, all that kind of stuff. I hate that. Like streets. Um, yeah, I don't like it at all. Spaceships, monsters, aliens, unless they're kind of cute ones. But yeah, I just can't do that. Do you actually paint at the speed of your reels? No. No, some of them are in real time, but mostly I've sped them up times two or times four because there's only 30 seconds to squeeze a whole, like, my painting might take me a couple hours, so I have to speed it all up so you get all the good, juicy, smooth movements in there. How do you get them how do you get them clean, crispy lines? Practice. What's your favorite art medium? Oh, I already answered that. What's a medium you want to try? I've always wanted to do like wood carving or stone carving. What's a medium you dislike? I don't know. I like them all in certain ways. I don't know. You'd have to present me with something a bit weird. Uh, I find like really technical kind of drawings really hard, and I don't like doing technical. I like more organic kind of stuff. What brushes do you use, and where do you get them from? Oh, I was really struggling with the brushes in this while I was doing this painting because they're all kind of a bit old and a bit jaggy and all really cheap and stuff. And yeah, I was really frustrated by them. So I need to get some more. I just get cheapo brushes from the $2 shop, from Spotlight, from art supply store, wherever they're on special. Like sometimes I've found a couple of paintbrushes once and I used them for a couple of years on the street. Yeah, I don't go for anything special, but maybe I should. Is gouache a good medium to work with? Gouache. Yes. Actually, when I first tried it many years ago, I hated it. I could not get it. I did not understand it. Why was it doing the things that it was doing? And it took me like another 5 or 6 or 7 years to pick it up again when my friend Andrea lent me her gouaches, and it just went, I get it, I understand. And I think she gave me really good quality ones as well, which helped. I just had some really terrible student quality one when I first started. So good quality gouache is like magic. Fixative or varnish spray recommendations for gouache. I don't think you should do that because because gouache is reactive most of the time, and if you spray a fixative onto it, it'll just it's like adding water to it. It'll just go bad. Just don't do that. You don't need to, I don't think. Just keep it in a plastic slip or something. How did you find your paper choice? Was it an experimentation or chance or both or neither? Over the years, yeah, I'm of Scottish descent. I save my pennies wherever I can, so I'd always get like the cheapest stuff, just terrible types of paper from local newsagents or wherever. And I don't think it's not even, just don't even do that. It's worth splashing out on the paper rather than the brushes, maybe, or maybe I don't know what I'm saying. I think I've just tried a lot of papers over the years and decided it's worth getting the more expensive paper because it is really good. Good paper is really good. So yeah, I usually try different brands all the time. Tips for maintaining the tips of the fine liner brushes. They usually wear out when used with color. when mixing color? I don't know. You know how sometimes when you get a really fine paintbrush, it comes with like the little plastic tube hat? I try and keep that on it for as long as possible, but I'm with you. They all turn to fluff eventually. So, any advice on how to get started with ceramics? Um, what I did was I bought myself like was it 5 or 6 week course in just learning the basics of hand building. I could choose hand building or like wheel throwing or anything like that, but I chose hand building because I like using my hands. And that helped me decide whether it was something I wanted to do and whether I liked it, and I did, and so I do. What sketchbooks do you use? Again, I don't really care as long as it's not ring bound. And I really like when the paper is slightly off white. I don't care if it's thin or thick or whatever. I don't mind. Actually, sometimes if it's kind of crappy, that's better because it makes me feel less precious. It's a sketchbook. It's a place to play and have fun and get silly and get messy. So I don't know, just find a thing you like. So my prerequisites are not ring bound and has to have off-white/cream paper. What do you think is the best website source to learn new painting techniques? I don't know, YouTube. I learn a few good things off Skillshare. I just think, I guess I also learned how to paint by looking at a lot of artwork as well. Online or in books or at the library. So just, and yeah, and after I'd looked at and by looking at those things and examining each little morsel, each little brush stroke, I feel like that's how I would learn, and then I'd try and copy it or something. Would you / have you ever tried digital art? Yeah, definitely. I have an iPad. I've had like tablets over the years. I worked in animation on Cintiqs for years. I do digital art a lot. If your sorry, where are we up to? Yeah. If your creativity was an animal, what animal would it be? That's a cute question. I think it would be an elephant because elephants are really playful and they can be really silly, and they're also like reliable and strong. Are you spiritual? If so, how so? Yeah, I think I'm spiritual. I don't like have a label for it or anything. It's just who I am. I just love nature and what it brings and being a human, and I don't have words to articulate. I'm not very articulate. I just know that there's something special inside me and inside everyone, like a big, warm, gold, glowing orb. Take that meaning however you see fit. What is your favorite childhood memory? My gosh, that's a great question. I love talking about childhood and I love talking about memories. Let's pick one real quick. I remember running around. So I grew up with 4 dogs and 2 cats, and I remember running around the backyard with all of them, and they're all chasing me, and I was pretending that we were like a troop going on a big adventure, and we had big bird of paradise plants in our backyard, and I remember going to the biggest, most beautiful one, and it was like the mentor of my journey with the dogs, and it was just like I just used to have like really fun time playing with the dogs all the time. Do you channel self-love in your artworks? Is that emotion that pushes you to do your art? Definitely, when I'm feeling it, when I feel like I need it, when I feel like the world needs it, while I'm painting something, I just like shoot all my love beams down into that painting. Who exposed you to art? My parents are fantastic, and they just let me go weird and wild when I was a little kid, and they let my imagination go where it wanted to go. And my dad's mum, my nana, was an artist as well. So he sort of grew up with it and knew it, and they just let me do it. When I was a kid, like on the cusp of teenhood, I did a little art class after school, and the art teacher, her name is Kaz Miller, was like a big dreamy inspiration for me, and I just wanted to be her when I grew up, and she taught me a lot and gave me a lot of love in my art. If you were not an artist, which job/career would you pursue? I think I would definitely do something with animals, either like a vet or some sort of like animal rescue person or wildlife rehabilitation. I was even thinking of studying like dog chiropractics or something like that. What is something that you've learned about yourself lately? I've learnt that I listen to a lot of music when I'm feeling anxious because it's a way of getting like big doses of serotonin, boom, like into my face, all over my face. I love music. It makes me feel so good. What countries have you traveled to? What ones are on your bucket list? I've been to New Zealand a lot because we've got family there. I've been to Scotland a few times because that's where my family is also from. I've been to America, the United States. I've been to Vanuatu when I was a kid. My mum won a trip to Vanuatu, so I came with her. Sri Lanka, which was amazing. Malaysia, I love, and Singapore. Ireland, which was one of my favorite places ever. England. Yeah, I think that's it. You are such a ray of sunshine. How do you keep your spirits up with everything going on? I definitely have bad days. You just don't see that as much online. Because who wants to post about their sad? Well, I don't want to post about my sad times. But yeah, like everyone else, I have sad days. Of course I do. And they can be hard to get through sometimes. But my baby helps me a lot. Having a dog is the best for me. Would you rather be an underwater cat or a flying dog? Well, that's a hard one, but I'm going to say flying dog. What's the best Queen album? How dare you ask me that, Alistair? It's all of them. Favorite animal to draw? Greyhound, hands down, my favorite animal to draw. Dogs, greyhounds. Also, I like birds. Do you like the Jurassic Park movies? Maybe you're going to hate me, but I've never seen them. Where do you shop for clothes? Your style is so cute and quirky. Op shops. I love op shops. I love vintage stores. I love secondhand clothes. I love op shops. Just op shops forever, please. What's your favorite type of outfit to wear on a long work day? I've got like this fantastic oversized baggy one piece, what do you call it, like a jumpsuit thing? And it's covered in paint and it's so comfy and I can like roll around legs in the air, but it feels as loose as a dress does at the same time. It's my favorite. Favorite item of clothing? Probably that thing, probably my work jumpsuity thing covered in paint. What is your favorite hot beverage? I'm gonna say a good old cup of tea, an Earl Grey with some honey and sometimes a squirt of lemon. Just the way Freddie Mercury liked it. We've made it to the baby cuddle time of the video, the best time of the video, of course. Look how cute she is, I love her. Gosh, I feel like I zoomed through all those questions and now I hate the sound of my voice. And I'm going to probably now go to bed and sleep for the next 15 hours because I am exhausted. I am a true introvert, and even just sitting here in this room, talking to myself, talking to the computer screen, has exhausted me socially and emotionally. Who else can relate? Just talking to yourself is exhausting. That's too much social for me. But I hope you enjoyed this painting. I had a really cute time painting it. I was feeling all the cottagey vibes. I just wanted to be a little fat lady by a stream picking wildflowers to take home and to stick in her hat and that sort of thing. That's my dream life. I love you all very much, and thank you so much for all your questions and for asking so many nice things and giving me many compliments. And my heart is just so sparkly right now. Thank you. Enjoy this piece, enjoy the video, uh, leave a comment. You can ask me more questions and I will answer them in the comments. And it's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to talk to you all. And I will see you next time. Bye.